Alright, good afternoon. This is another placement on story time. Right now it's story time, okay? And this is called Identities, okay? He became one of those parts of a mythical identity. When he was on top, he felt like he was a part of the family. He would have invested 5 long years, and not knowing this time, he would become the part of life that would endure from the pain in his past. In his trials, he chose to live by the capitals and swagger bought and brought young in life. It would become his ultimate power for the spotlights he craved, and seen by the powers of being famous and famous. He took his pick. The family hype around the clock became a scene. He needed a way out, so it became his identity for infamy. Because came that was the same thing from fame. This perspective from gangsters became his structure for others to see. Because of who he was, people expected to see from who they knew to be a bad guy. He once said he felt like he was part of the bad histories of those who weren't forgiven for what happened to those it affected. His mom's always had this image of a man in his image. He was a man in this time who was seen as a gangster, a man of power, a man of power. It was because what his reputation he carried it as a businessman. I guess she's seen me as that person too, he often thought to himself. He often thought he scared his mother because of this image. The image of a bad guy. Was this image of hurt? He couldn't figure it out. He thrived to figure out this personality that everybody's seen but had not recognized in himself.
We were so blessed when we had triplets.
Was it fear that she experienced when with a man of this type of image? Hate? Putting fear in people? Dangerous? No good. Maybe. He figured she would fear the image of hate. But what moms didn't know, he became what the world shown him, and that was the thug life, the gangsters, the criminality, the world of hate. This man and what they called the dog. When he was around the family, he always announced the part he was in a role within playing, looking and talking like a part of a gangster, a mythical identity. As the boy grew up, he was shown the sights of people, shown in the fears towards the image of man, of this world. She, the mother, and the other family members spat on about how the boy's slang became black. He was offended, of course, But he felt the family on the mother's side didn't like this image. Wearing nice suits, nice shoes, top hats, rings, flashy jewelry. The boy had money he could have at any given moment, any given time. And they didn't like the image that he had, what they couldn't have, possibly. They often seen the stories on television of the ruthless people, rappers, people in the image of jewelry and money and fine clothes, seeing it as being disrespectful. The boy didn't get it. But to them, this was the image of a garner, a gangster at that, and not one who respected as being part of a family. The boy would become the image of good in my sight, but hating others. Now, this was just a short story on a mythical identity. You know, it's just a story. It has no ties. But it has some truth to it. The imagination that we flare into being is trying to portray, if we think and sit and write our thoughts and words on paper, it all comes to life. If we speak it, you know. What do you like to read? Do you like to read about mythical identities? Do you like to read about fictions, real life situations? Or would you just rather ponder and build up this fantasy within your mind of cartoons and animes and stuff that has no realization, even though it's plausible in a real sense, generated by computer technology? It's still fantasized. It's still fantasy. But what if somebody would actually take a life situation, plot it into a story aspect, and give you a different twist of something that you can actually ponder on and think, huh? That sounds pretty cool. That sounds interesting. Mystical. Because we all have our mystical parts. We all want to be something. You know, we all have this imaginary thought process that this is who I am. But is it really? Or is it just the people that we surround ourselves to be and allow us to be around that makes others see us as that mythical identity? Now ponder on this and view this and like this. Share it with others. See what they think. And then get back at me. And if you really want to get back at me, you know my number. You know my Facebook. Chris Welliver, Facebook. I got it on there too. You know. Check it out. It's fun.